Hello everyone, welcome you to Aurora. Today in this video, I'm going to analyze Macbeth Act 4, Scene 1. First, let's look at the structure of the scene. The scene can be divided into witches' casting of a spell, the supernatural answers to Macbeth's demands, Macbeth's return to the cold world of political and social reality. This same structure reminds us of the opening scenes of the drama, as it follows the same structure. Once more, Macbeth's destiny is in question. Once more, he receives 3 prophecies. Once more, he is left on his own to decide how best to interpret those prophecies. And once more, he fails to understand that fate is inevitable. However, he chooses to act. The witch's charm is fantastic. Its ingredients thrown into a bubbling cauldron are all poisonous. Moreover, these ingredients are all the entrails or body parts of large animals or human beings, which taken together can be interpreted as making a complete monster. Tongue, leg, liver, lips, scales, teeth, and so on. The strong implication is that Macbeth himself is no longer a complete human being. He himself has become a half man, half monster, a kind of chimera. Macbeth arrives at the witch's lair with extraordinary boldness, knocking at the entrance in a way that ironically recalls the entry of Macduff into Macbeth's castle in Act 2, Scene 3. When he conjures the witches to answer him, his language is uncompromising. He matches their power with a powerful curse of his own, demanding to have an answer even if it requires the unleashing of all the elements of air, water, and earth, even if all the universe, natural or man-made, tumble into ruin. His most defiant act by far is to desire to hear the prophecy of his future, not from the witches, who are themselves only mediums of the supernatural, but from their masters, that is, the controlling fates. However, if you really look at the 3 prophecies made by the apparitions, first, Macbeth sees a floating head, which says, "Beware of Macduff," which means the Macduff's rebellion or Macbeth's fate. And then he sees a bloody child who says, "No man of woman born shall harm Macbeth." At this point, Macbeth is confused. Why should he beware of Macduff if no man of woman born shall harm him? He thinks this means no one can harm him, but he is wrong. The third apparition is a child wearing a crown and holding a tree. Great Burnham Wood will march to Dunsinane Hill, or in other words, Macbeth shall not be harmed until Great Burnham Wood will march to Dunsinane Hill. The child with crown and tree symbolize Malcolm. Macbeth thinks he is invisible because trees can't march. However, he misunderstands this apparition as it is a symbol of Malcolm's attack. Macbeth's demand is answered by a sequence of apparitions. Unlike the dagger and Banquo's ghost, these supernatural visions cannot be simply the workings of Macbeth's heat-oppressed brain, because they are summoned by the witches. Once again, the audience is required to assess the extent to which Macbeth is responsible for his own actions. Macbeth appears to be super confident this time. even flippant in his replies to the Parisians, and there is little fear or respect. For example, in his reply to the first apparition, "Whatever thou art, for thy good caution, thanks." And his punning reply to the second apparitions, "Macbeth, Macbeth, Macbeth, had I 3 ears, I would hear thee," displays a kind of a comic arrogance. Apart from the first, all the apparitions, including the fourth and final one of a procession of future kings, contain children. The juxtaposition of children actually symbolize innocence, and images of death, warfare, and blood is dramatic and terrifying. But especially so for Macbeth, for a man who has no offspring, a man who has no children, the image of children can only fill him with hatred and loathing. Having rejected as impossible the second two prophecies, Macbeth asked for one last favor. However, the result worries him, drawing all strength from him and reducing his earlier courage. The children who appear in this procession are the children of Fleance. Are the children of Banquo. The reflected light of their golden crowns, the seer cut into mine eyeballs and causes his eyes to jump from their sockets. The climax to Macbeth's reaction occurs in the line, "What? Will the line stretch out to the crack of doom?" in which he finally realizes the possibility of an entirely Macbethless future. In a scene which is rich with special effects, thunder, ghosts, and possibly flying witches, Shakespeare adds a final visual stroke. That is, the eighth child king carrying a mirror that reflects the faces of many more such kings. The effect of infinite regression can be achieved by, if you really want to see how it happens, just looking at a mirror while holding a smaller mirror in your hand in which the reflection is reflected, you will understand what is meant by this infinite regression. However, the witches confirm the inevitability, that means the unstoppability of what Macbeth has seen. "Aye, sir, all this is so." That means there can be no equivocation, no argument with fate. Finally, emerging into the cool light of day, Macbeth seems immediately to forget the final prophecy as he returns to the practicalities of what is increasingly a battle for his own political survival. On being informed that Macbeth has fled to England, he announces his intention to wreak a terrible revenge on Macbeth's wife and children. So as a conclusion, if you really look at the impact of the prophecies, it's evident that Macbeth's actions were greatly impacted by the supernatural and the witches' prophecies throughout the play from the very beginning. The witches had a significant amount of power over Macbeth, and from the beginning of the story, you can see that they held his fate in their hands. So Macbeth was easily influenced by the supernatural forces, which made him less nervous about the future and anyone who stood in his way of coming into power. Perhaps had it not been for the prophecies, the events would not have turned out the way they did. So the prophecies helped establish the major theme: ambition and greed can overpower morality and even overrun human nature. I hope you are very clear with the analysis of this scene, and I'm hoping to see you with another video on the next scene. Until then, stay safe and bye-bye.